Welcome to Black, Red, and Blue. I'm AJ, and I'm joined with Steve today. And unfortunately, we bring you the third straight loss on something that did not sound so good. Okay, that was an attempt at a pun for the Sounders, but anyways,
it worked.
That landed about as good as our attacking this game. So
I would say that was an own goal.
Ouch. Okay, and we're done for today. Okay, I think we just need to go into this. So this game, I think actually has some positive and negatives. It's kind of funny. I was camping this past weekend, and I was watching the game on a little iPad with a really spotty connection, kind of going in and out. But I had a nice campfire behind, and family was all around. And my uncle, who's the guy who watched a lot of EPL and stuff like that, he basically said, "Oh yeah, this team seems to have a lot of heart." And my girlfriend goes, "Yeah, that's what they say about bad teams." I was like, ouch.
Man,
I know.
They tried hard. Little scamps.
Yeah. But in my opinion, and tell me what you think, Steve, is I actually felt like City played a pretty decent box-to-box game. Like they had a lot of control, and I'll show some maps later that showed that we controlled most of the field. It's just that we floundered, kind of like my early pun joke, in the final attacking third. We didn't really have that quote-unquote quality finishing. And I'm sure everybody's just tired of hearing that. Just lack of quality finishing. When are we going to get Marco Royce and who else to save our team? The usual. But box-to-box, I think we did pretty good. Defensively, I felt like we did okay, except for maybe like an own goal and a Parker mishap. But outside of those two things, I think we did pretty decent. So, Steve, drum roll, please. What do you think?
I agree with the box-to-box was, okay. In fact, I didn't really think our midfield wasn't as horrible as it has been. I wasn't excited not to see Ostrak out there, but we find out later that he took some sort of a knock in practice, and that's what kept him out. We weren't going against a powerhouse. Seattle is not a great team right now, and we kind of figured that with decent enough shots, it would do well. But like, as I was on the road for that first half, but as I get home for the second half, I'm watching it, it's like, here we go. It's kind of like how we were in the second half of last season, where we get to that attacking third, and it's like, what do we do now? And I don't think the passes coming in across were solid enough. I don't think some of the shots were solid enough. Like, we had some pretty good shots, but like how we had over 20 shots on Saturday, which is a lot. And we just kept taking shots, but like none of them seemed to land. And Klaus had a really unlucky shot that went off the frame, and it's just like none of it really seemed strong. And it was really frustrating watching that game, because you should be in the lead, especially when Parker or Hebert takes that awful bounce and it ricochets off his foot and goes in. You're like, that's one goal. And it seemed like we were pretty strong the rest of the match until that second goal where Parker gets cooked and leaves Berkey out to dry. And it just seemed like nothing was happening. What everyone in that stadium was waiting for number 10 to come on. I just think that everyone was waiting, and I think everyone was just kind of holding on. And it's like, it was a huge game changer once he came on. And I'm sure we can discuss that with like the second half stats, but like it honestly just felt like nothing was happening the entire match. And that was really, really sad to see, because like we know the fans want to see success, and the team said like they were going to come out and play the best they could, and this was the end result.
You're kind of like, just commenting on Leuven, because I think that's a great point to mention, is he made a huge difference when he came on. Like, it felt like a completely different team. And we've kind of said this the whole time, is that part of our finishing was that lack of quality of getting to our finishers. And Leuven, especially with that goal, right, the assist, he made that happen. He delivered it to where we had somebody that could score a goal, aka in this case, Totland. right? To give
Right.
you an idea, so I love that expected threat. So for people who don't remember or don't know about expected threat, it's kind of like expected goals, but instead it's the stuff that build up to the assist and goals. So like the passes that come before it. So by far, anytime Tottenham's on the field, he's always leading the expected threat. So in this case, he was about 2.5 to 3, according to at MLS Stat on Twitter. And that's pretty good. Like, that's a good number to have, right? Leuven, who came in, I think it was on the 70th minute, so he only played like 20 minutes. He had like
Yes.
2.25 approximately of expected threat. Like, holy moly, like in just a short period of time, he accumulated the amount that Tottenham did. Our next, just to give you an idea, our next expected threat was Celio, which was also about 2.25, but he was out there the entire game. And then Hebert actually was our fourth, which was 1.5. So you could tell that Leuven made a difference very quickly.
Oh, yeah. And it seemed like the entire temperature of the team changed whenever he came on. And those set pieces, which is how we wound up scoring that goal, was like, here we are, a threat again. And it'd be exciting once he's able to get those starts on a regular basis. So it'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, and something I'm kind of hoping to see too is with the Sounders' second goal, like their actual earned goal, not the Hebert unfortunate goal, but second one was that through ball. So they were kind of in the middle of the field. They kick it between our defenders where Parker got burnt, right? And then they got to their attacker, and then of course it was 1v1, and of course the kicker won in this case. That's something that we actually don't see a lot with our team, is a lot of these kind of through balls, because it requires two things from a player. It requires good spatial awareness, so like just knowing where the players are in the field, and then just the physical athletic ability to make that pass. If you watch Messi, for instance, Messi is absolutely amazing at these kind of through balls. Absolutely amazing. Every single game he's doing stuff like this. And this entire game I was watching, I was like, we're not doing anything like that. It's almost always we're outside in the wings of the box and we kick into the penalty area, it feels like. Or we try to dribble kind of into the penalty area, maybe some short little passes, but we never have that kind of transition from the middle to attacking third kind of through ball pass, which is hard to do. I was listening to Flyover Footy and they kind of brought up a good point. I really wanted to see what you thought about this. So we've talked a lot about Leuven being our number 10. Leuven had said last year that he prefers to be number 6. So for people who aren't familiar with, the number 10 would be the attacking midfielder. And then the exact opposite, in a way, is like your number 6, which is the defensive midfielder. Now, in between the 6 and the 10 would be your center midfielder, which is like your number 8. Matt Baker was arguing that Leuven would be best served as a number 8, kind of more in the center of the midfield, as opposed to the attacking. I actually think he makes a good point there, but I wouldn't also necessarily be disappointed with him as the number 10. I would be disappointed if he was playing as our number 8, because I feel like we have good defensive midfielders. Bloom, for instance, would play well. Durkin, I think, would be fine in more of a 6 as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I'm looking at our lineup from this past game, and Bloom and Durkin seem to be fine there. But like, are you going to take out who are you going to take out? Because Vasilev is a perfect 10 right now. Are you going to take out who is one of our better players, or like Celio? I think he would be more natural there on the left where or right where is. So like, are you going to take him out or have him back as like the 6 where Bloom would play? Like, I don't know. I would think I like him better as an 8 as well myself. I don't think his natural spot would be that 10. I think that 8 would be a better place for him.
Okay, point taken. The one thing I will say about this past game, though, is Vasilev did not have a good game. He had a yellow card pretty early in the 35th minute, and I was actually looking at some of his stats here. On FOTMob, he had a 5.5 rating, He had a missed shot, which is, I think he was the one that Klaus had passed backwards, and then Vasilev just sorted to the moon. And I saw, here's a horrible stat, ground duels. He was 27%. He was 3 out of 11.
Oh my.
And he was dispossessed 5 times. He really had a bad game. And mention that Vasilev came off early. He came off at the 57 minute. So he only played about 2/3 of the game. It was a very, very
So that's
poor
when
game
Thor
for him.
came on. So yeah, he came on for Nuvi came on for him. Yeah.
So Steve, so here's my question for you, Steve. Thor. Now, we have only seen him for like chunks at time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something in the 80th minute.
Yeah.
This time he came on at the 57th minute. What do you think of Thor?
So he doesn't come on much. He doesn't play much. I know we were kind of sold as him last year being this amazing player that was going to come in, and clearly he's not been super effective. We don't really see much of him when he's out there. And I like his passing. In fact, he had pretty good passing on Saturday night, but like I don't know if he contributes much to the playing. Like he did not. I'm looking like he had a couple of shots, but like none of them did anything. So like I guess I don't know, he played a lot last night, like 33 minutes. I guess Carnell was trying to get him some other guys rest and him more time, but like I'm not really sure where he fits right now. I think that's kind of what I think of the player is like, what do we do with him? In Kansas City, the most I remember playing because I was there watching him, he seemed pretty effective then, but like since then, what has he done for the rest of this year? What do we do with him? What do you think?
So here's a good point, right? So if I say a player and I say, tell me one thing about that player. So if I say Leuven, I'm saying great passer, set piece king,
Yes.
something like that, right?
Set piece.
Celio,
Set piece, yeah.
awesome setup man,
Passing, dribbling. Yes.
Klaus can make some pretty athletic shots, stuff like that. If you say AZ,
Right.
yeah, he might not be an offensive guy, but he's like the Energizer Bunny. He's great for pressing,
Right.
especially a late sub coming in when you're leading 2-1 in the 70th minute or something like that. But he can really help break up the defense or the offense on the other side of the ball at times. But Thor, I'm just like, yeah, he's a replacement. Like I don't really have like that flavor for him. Now, part of it is that we haven't seen a lot of him, but he also hasn't done a lot with the time that he has been there. Like if you go back in some of his games, I explicitly remember there was some times where he did have chances on goal, but oftentimes he hesitates. He's slow to make that shot. He's really not. I know he's technically like a forward, but he just doesn't really feel like that. He just feels a step too slow. And I don't know if he's just the competition's too great for him in MLS, to be honest. I just don't really have anything big for him.
Right. I see a lot of chatter about AZ. People are the public is really down on AZ. And I keep seeing, send him back down to City 2, let him get some time, let him figure it out about him. But like, meanwhile, this player that we're just now talking about, he barely plays. And when he does play, he doesn't really do much. Kyle Hebert played on City 2 last night. I watched that match. It didn't start until 8 o'clock, but Kyle Hebert was out there. And he's one of our main defenders, who, by the way, he's going to be called up to the Canadian national team. He's going to be going there after we play in Miami. So, like, he's good enough to make a national team, and he's playing on City 2 to kind of get those minutes and get those runs. Why aren't we talking that way about Thor? Like, why aren't people considering that? The guy that barely plays, that we don't see, that doesn't do much, like, why aren't people saying that about him? And we can see AZ's skills. We can see what he's capable of doing. We've not seen it with Thor. So his natural position is a left wing, but Celio's out there. He's taking that. Like, when does he get playing time? And it kind of irks me that we see more chatter about AZ than we do about Thor. And Thor came on later last year, yes, but like we haven't seen much of him. I think when you guys said like the word association for Thor is, for me, it's headband. Like, you always got that little bitty headband on. That's the only thing I can think about Thor is he has a pretty cool headband. And that's not a great thing. It's not a great thing you can say about players. So like, your question was like, what do you think about Thor? Like, I don't think of him like that great insult. Like, I don't even think about you. Like, I don't know.
So why the cue transition music? Well, that's because when we initially recorded the segment, we thought that Durkin had 5 yellow cards. But the thing is he did have 5 yellow cards, but one of them was retracted because he was on good behavior. So keep this in mind as you listen to our next segment.
Messi didn't even play, didn't even travel to, was it Vancouver this weekend, and they still won. So chances are, unless they play on Wednesday, which we can talk about later, we're going to be playing against one of actually the best team in the league right now.
And I'm kind of thinking, though, is that if Leuven can come in for at least 45 minutes, right? Like, he should start. And I can't imagine he couldn't go 45 minutes. I'm thinking, as far as our defensive and central midfield, I'm thinking if you have Bloom as your number 6 and as your kind of number 8, having Leuven there, what you could do is start with Leuven, and then at halftime, or maybe the 60th minute, something like that, have Ostrak come in for Leuven.
Yeah,
I think Bloom will do fine. I think he'll do okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be a shame against a team that we really need to do well against, because we have never lost 3 in a row. Now that's happened. Very much at risk for losing 4 in a row. Very much at risk. Yeah. So what I like your idea of the lineup. We're going against a team. Miami does play Atlanta on Wednesday, but it's in Atlanta, and I've been thinking about this. Messi won't play on turf. He didn't go to Vancouver, and they're going to no. Atlanta comes to them. I'm sorry, they have 2 matches in Fort Lauderdale. So watch this thread. Watch it on Wednesday. If we see Messi and Suarez and Vasquez, if they play a lot of time on Wednesday to get that win against Atlanta, chances are we won't see him fully on Saturday. But if we don't see him on Wednesday, man, I guess buckle in. Burke, you better make sure he has a nice meal, because it's gonna be rough. He's going to take a lot of shots on Saturday. So, I guess, what are your thoughts about this match coming up? Because we've covered this past week where it was a bummer. Now we've got this team where, like, I know the MLS wants them to win the Shield and wants them to win the Cup, and we hear a lot of chatter. And I had been a little less on that. Like, okay, well, there's a big team, big league, but like, they're still in first place. They're winning without them. They've got a really good team that's built around them right now. So, like, what are your thoughts going in after we lost this match against this team? Now we're going against Miami.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 2 big things, just off the top of my head, like 2 keys of the game here. Is one, we tend to be a high foul team because we press, we're aggressive. The problem is, I don't care who says this, right? Like, there's no conspiracy, but the referees are still going to be a little cautious with Messi. It's just how it is going to be, right? And the problem is that because we're so aggressive, I actually expect us to have the highest number of yellow cards this game as compared to every other game this year. Mark my words on it. I wouldn't be even surprised if we got a red or 2 yellows for a red. I really think we're going to see that. We're going to see higher than normal fouls. That's one. The second thing is I've watched probably about a third of the Miami game, so somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But obviously, you have Messi, who kind of plays all over the field and stuff like that. I think you're going to see him shift to his right, so that's going to be towards our left. And I think you're going to see, unfortunately, our left back get... I don't know if they're going to put Marcanic back there or Heater, but I think they're going to get eaten up hard. Because Totland, I think Totland and Park are on the right side. They're going to keep that locked down pretty well. I'm going to be especially worried about our left defensive side, to be honest.
I think you're going to see Marcanic back there, bud. I think we're going to see Marcanic back there this week. And you're right. My goodness. Although I don't know. That match against LA when he got cooked against Paintsville. watching Messi play, there's these clips of him where he'll just kind of walk around, and then when that boy wants to run, he's a blur. And so I don't know if Marcana gets to start then. God, I just realized that, like, yeah, they're going to get cooked. So I know Hebert's going to be playing in Canada, but yeah, I think we got to put him back out there. I think we got to put him back out there because he's at least a strong player. Or I don't know, what's Nervinski's more natural position like? Yeah, because I think Nilsson back there
right
on
back?
the. Okay, all right. So yeah, so it's got to be Hebert. I don't want Marcanic out there against the GOAT. I don't. I
No,
like
it's not
him.
gonna
He's
be
been a
pretty.
great defender, but I would rather have someone like Hebert who can handle the heat, who won't get emotional out there, than someone like Marcanic who is still very young, and we don't have to relitigate that match where he was an emotional mess. I just maybe bring him in late sub and get him some time, but like, yeah, if he gets cooked by Messi and then has a bad foul, then that could be your red. That could be your red.
Yeah.
Because he's a bit of a.
Here's the other thing too, is that and this is across all sports. This isn't just soccer, right? But if you have a superior team, usually the team that's quote unquote inferior tends to change their tactics to counter the superior team's tactics.
You've said that, yeah.
And the superior team plays their game, which obviously plays to their strengths. My question is what is St. Louis going to do? Are we going to try to mitigate what Miami's going to pull on us? Because they are going to be the toughest team that we faced between this year and last year, in my opinion. Or are we going to play our game? To be honest, though, I don't think we can win if we don't play our game. Because when do we look the best? It's when we have a high line, so the defense is playing up, when we're pressing hard, and we're playing for that transition. If we do anything but that, we're not that great of a team. We're not great with possession. We're not great when we sit back. We're great when we attack. And I really hope that's what St. Louis does for this game coming up.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that, and I hope that they don't try to change. I hope that we don't see a 4-4-2 or some weird new lineup to try to mitigate, like you're saying. Because I think if we're gonna get cooked, if we're gonna get our butts beat, might as well do it with our game. Don't lose your identity to try to match against the team. At least be able to say we played our game the way we play it, and it wasn't enough against the best player of all time. Like, guess what? There's a lot of teams this season already who have lost to Miami, and as long as we go out there, I think if you and I sit here next Saturday and we have a conversation, and it's like, well, we had 4 goals scored on us, but man, we played this, and this. If all of a sudden we run out some lineup we've never seen before with a cast of people that don't usually play together, then we'll be able to say this was on Carnell. Like, we don't want to be able to say like the coach influenced like the pattern of the game. Yep.
The other thing is that I would rather us put the lineup that we're going to have the game after. And the reason why is because I would rather take our best lineup, our best strategies, and go up against probably the best team in the league. That way, we can almost fortify and practice against a super tough opponent. That way, when we go to our next game, we're like, okay, this is much easier. We're flowing better. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, we practice what we are supposed to do. Yeah, exactly.
We were just discussing like yellow cards against Miami, probably going to get a lot of yellows. I was just looking. They are one of they've got to be one of the higher penalized team themselves. Like, they are picking up multiple yellow cards per match. So I want to see what kind of yellow warning some of their players are on this week coming up, because they do pick up a lot of yellows themselves, and teams against them they're picking up more yellows per match than the teams that are playing against them. So I have a feeling it goes to your point where some teams are cautious about how to play against Messi, and it probably is in their head about they're going to get calls against them. Meanwhile, you've got Miami who is playing more loose, and they're able to go out there. So like, that might play in our favor where we're a team that gets a lot of yellows. We're a team with our press that throws bodies, and we are more physical. We are a very physical team. And how is that going to play against a team who is used to being physical and is probably not used to teams matching them? And so, like, I think you can probably call Miami a bully. I think from looking at those yellows that I'm seeing, you can probably consider Miami a bully with just how their mentality when they come into games. Not like they're tougher than us, but like their mentality is, we're going to go in there, we're going to push you over. Meanwhile, we got Klaus, who now has a gift where he made him a god to slide across an entire city, like get to the gym. Like, I'll be very interested to see if our team comes in there with a very physical mindset, which I think we should. And I think it'll be awesome, which I think is to our point that we should probably have Hebert start in that game, because Hebert is a physical player himself and put a body up against Messi, put a body up against those players. So I think we put our best team forward. We just get out there and we just own it, no matter what. We just own it. No excuses. This team is really good at not putting excuses out there for losses. So, yeah, I think if we do that, we just go out there, we give them everything, give them hell, and don't get crazy like some fans right now are. We gotta put all these players in. Sam's got to start. We can't have Klaus starting. I do not want Sam starting against this team. I don't want Sam starting against this team. I want Klaus. He's our number one.
So actually, I completely forgot about that. So it was very interesting that we made only 3 substitutions this game. Only 3. And we basically just wasted the other 2. And maybe that's because things were just kind of clicking. And we did seem like we had a pretty decent attack in the last 20 minutes, especially with Leuven out there. But Sam, I don't know if he warmed up or what was going on, but he didn't hit the field. I just find that a little interesting. So I wonder if there's still stuff going behind the scenes.
Yeah. Or we looked at maybe once Leuven got on and we had AZ come on at the same time, we had that change of speed. I think Matt Baker and some other guys have mentioned that, like, when Sam is out there, it's a completely different player than Klaus. And what kind of players were we putting out there? Were they to kind of complement Klaus or compliment Sam? And it seemed like they were really to compliment Klaus. And if you look at that last 2 minutes of that match, where we just had a fury of shots, we had so many good chances. I don't think those happen if Sam is out there. Sam is that breakaway kind of bully right past the defender and take a shot. Although the way that game ended, it would not have been right if Sam was out there. I don't think we have that exciting ending to that game if Sam is out there. So yeah. It was probably just situational where it just didn't make sense to put him out there. Were you going to pull Klaus whenever he was in good physical shape at that time? Like, yeah, he played a full 90. Like, it wasn't happening. It wasn't, especially with like the flow of the game. It just didn't feel right.
I don't know if many people have said this, but in some ways I kind of miss Gioacchini.
I do think it's funny how there is so many people this year with our attacking kind of woes are now saying that, oh, we wish we had Nico back, which if you think about like last year, Nico was getting the kind of hate that AZ is getting this year. Nico liked to play on. Nico liked to flop, but he had so many shots. Like, he was so good offensively. But like, I still think for the long run, having Nico gone is going to help us because of the fact that we were able to get money off of that. And now we can invest in the future. Like, we did what's right for us and he did what's right for him. So he didn't play much. We can say he didn't play much this year at Como. He was definitely not an impactful player. And the only reason that we got the extra catch is because they were promoted to Serie A.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I guess it's, would we rather have Strauss back? Scary Jerry? Like, do we miss him? His wild ass shots and some crazy stuff he would do on the pitch. Like, I do want to see if this Tuchert signing is real. I do want to see if this Aussie kid the rumor mill that we're getting, if that is potentially going to happen. And by the way, this Colombian kid that we signed for City 2, haven't heard much of him, but I wonder if he's going to develop into something for the future. We've got a lot of players on City 2. It'll be really interesting to see if John Klein can kind of make that jump at some point. We've got Kojima down there picking up minutes. Keel Watts is just cooking down there, and he's been up here. So like, this is a pretty solid team. And I think we've mentioned in the past that the team has a lot of financial things they have to square away with being brand new and paying off with the expansion fees in the stadium, and like just kind of sticking with the fact that we got a program. And I've seen people complaining online that we're too committed to a system, which is utterly ridiculous, guys. It's utterly ridiculous. You've got City 2 playing a high press, and these kids are getting used to playing that high press. And they're coming up to City, and they're playing the high press. If we start messing with this system, this is 5 years of planning that we're just going to throw away because we've lost 3 in a row. We can't do that. We cannot change the identity of this team. Maybe once we get a new head coach, have a handful of years or so, or a new athletic director. But like for now, this is it. We're not changing this system. We're not. This works. It's exciting to watch. It really is exciting to watch. So
yeah, the one thing that's kind of tough too is we also have to realize that the MLS is off cycle. The European clubs basically go from like early fall, late summer, something like that, onto the spring or late winter. Right? We're kind of opposite. We're kind of baseball season. They're more of football season. And unfortunately, that means that their off season is in the middle of the summer for us, for that transfer window. So that kind of stinks for us, because during our off season we can't make major changes with our club. We almost have to kind of wait halfway through the season. And that's the Cedric how do you say his name? Tuchert or Tukert or whatever have you. Thank you. The problem is I think he doesn't come until like, I think I heard like 11 games from now.
I imagine it'll be like after
late July,
after the
probably after the break. Yeah. Yep. So that's a long time. So a lot of people are like sitting here hoping, oh yeah, he's going to answer all our problems. Well, the problem is we got to get from point A to point B, and we have so many games between now and then. Like I said, I think it's 11 games before we get this guy. By that time, our season will be lost completely. Or anybody. Yeah, exactly. Right. So they have to figure out what's going on with the players that we currently have.
Yeah. I think it's more of just, unfortunately, just putting it together. Like, I don't know, like we had so many shots on Saturday. Like sometimes it's just not going to happen. I think sometimes fans, we want everything to go right all the time, where it just can't. And it just didn't. And like, I'm betting, I would love to listen to a Seattle Sounders podcast from this week, and I'm betting you they're talking about how damn lucky they are to have gotten this win, instead of saying, yeah, we knew we were the better team and of course this was going to happen. I'm betting you they're like, we squeaked one out of there. Like, you got an own goal and a breakaway, and that was it. And we had so many shots against them that like we should have, one more should have gone in, but it just didn't. It just didn't. So we gotta keep playing our game, and we gotta go in there and score. I guess we have to. Is it true you have to score more goals than the other team, or at least the same amount, right? Like, it just comes down to that. It's all it's just not happening. Like, we've done plenty of the score more, score the same as the other team, or score none and let the other team score none. But like, we need to put more biscuits in the baskets.
So one thing I want to point out, because this is something that we said earlier, we were actually kind of looking at the table before we started this podcast today, and we were talking about our wins, draws, and losses, which is 3, 7, and 4, and everybody was complaining about all these draws. But when we looked at the table, we saw, I believe it was LA Galaxy, right, that also had 7 draws, and they were in 3rd place. Now the difference is that they have 6 wins where we have 3 wins, which makes an absolute huge difference. But they were still able to get in 3rd place with 7 draws. That's the magic of the draws. Now, you still need the wins, don't get me wrong. Like, we can't do what we're doing where we have more losses than wins. But the draws at least kind of keep your footing. They count as points. Like, that matters. So I just wanted to throw that out there for people, because this was a huge theme in the first probably 5 episodes that we did of the season, but just kind of keep that in mind. Anyways, I believe next week, obviously, we have the Miami game. We're planning on doing more of a reaction podcast where after the game we'll record and hopefully we're talking about how great Leuven was and how we scored 3 goals on the Messi team, and we only gave up 0. That
We have to
would be
figure out
amazing,
some
right?
sort of a. We got to figure out like a calendar punt since their goalie is calendar. That we got to figure out some sort of like we got to turn the calendar or something like. Hopefully, it'll be like a really good one where it's like rip the calendar off the page. I don't know. So like we got to come up with a real good calendar pun or like a Berkey versus calendar type pun. So like, yeah, we got a little bit to think about it. Hopefully, we'll maybe say like Leuven punched a hole in the calendar or something. I don't know. I think it'll be fun.
Well,
as long as it's a win. If it's a loss, then I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, your puns might be as bad as mine from the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, that was bad. I know.
Okay, well,
why we're off is because didn't happen. We lost. It was a weird game. It was a funky. It's a good holiday weekend. We're taking a break too, guys. We're your favorite podcast can't always be on. What? Memorial Day, baby. That's what it is.
All right. Well, on that note, we look forward to talking to you guys after the game next week. Hopefully, it's a 3-0 win. That's our hope.
3-0, baby. Oh, wait, was that an AJ guarantee? A 3-0 win? Sound like an AJ guarantee.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how many shutouts Miami has had to endure this year. How many times they've been kept off the board. Let's see.
Dude,
I'm gonna look this up right now.
We're actually gonna win. We're actually gonna win 3-0, and everybody's gonna think I'm like the prediction king or something.
Okay, so lucky what this is? It's like karma. We lost 3 in a row. First time we've ever lost 3 in a row. And this season, there'll be 3 games that they've been shut out. So it'll work.
We'll take it. All right.
Hey guys, so don't forget to go on find all of our socials on BRB Fancast. Be on the lookout for the lineup games, which we are loving the community and the involvement you guys have with that. Be on the lookout for our polls. I'm going to be posting the results from our polls. Be on the lookout for the fridge table. That's coming out today as well. Any shout outs you want us to do, we will do. I'll be sure to comment on that on our Facebook pages. So look for us on Facebook, look for us on YouTube, look for us on Instagram, look for us on Twitter. Look for us on your, I don't know, maybe in your store. You'll look over and there's AJ and Steve. You don't know who we are, but like you'll see us and we'll give you a little wink. So look out for us there. All right. Take care, guys.
All for City.
All for City, baby. Let's hit it.